Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Oh, how the mighty have fallen, and indeed how the times have changed. For where once, when Nicola Sturgeon stood to speak, her disciples would lay at her feet, gazing up in wonder, as the wise woman, the First Lady of Scotland, spake true, and uttered words of wisdom, nuggets of joy, for all to wonder at. But them days is gone. Now she writes in a column that nobody reads, and when they do, they're annoyed by it, and they tell her to shut up and go away. She's been cast aside like an old sock, unloved, unwanted, uncared for. Yesterday's girl, no longer relevant. It's rather sad, but that's what happens. And so she's sitting there, writing in her column and talking a load of old rubbish, and people have seen that she tries desperately to be the doyenne of the SNP, the grande dame even of Scottish politics, and instead she's just a ridiculous figure, embarrassing to all, hoping to God that somebody will continue to pay attention to her. But nobody's listening. We'll take a look at this article and see where it all went wrong for Nicola. Here goes. Right, so this headline, backlash against Nicola Sturgeon's latest column as the former leader is told to desist by Scots. They've had enough of her. They don't want to hear what she has to say. She has spoken so much over the 8 years that she was in charge, and she is an absolute monster. She's got everything wrong. There is the possibility of court cases coming, several, not just one, several. She could be in prison for a very long time over some of the things she may well have done, maybe, allegedly. Anyway, not long ago, the former SNP boss would have had centre stage with her views on the climate. Now she's told to keep her opinions to herself. Yeah, as I say, basically, Nicola, shut up and sod off. We don't want to hear it anymore. So Nicola Sturgeon's latest column hasn't landed well with Scots who are calling on the former SNP leader to desist from making public comments. Please shut up, go away. Writing in the Glasgow Times, Miss Sturgeon addressed the controversy around climate policies following anger at her former government's heat pumps plans and Rishi Sunak's commitment to North Sea oil gas projects. Yeah, I mean, these heat pumps, obviously we've covered them. It's just such a bad idea. And yet they seem to insist on going ahead with it. But it originally started with her. She was the First Minister when this idea was originally first mooted. But it is absolute awful. So how can she sit there and say heat pumps are a good idea when she doesn't even understand how they work? And as for Rishi Sunak opening up the oil and gas fields, she's saying it's wrong. It's actually cleaner and greener for us to do that rather than transporting the same amount of oil that we're going to need halfway around the world on a big tanker. But then she's not very clever either. As a politician goes, she played politics well, but she's not that bright. But then she's in the SNP, none of them are they? Anyway, she used her regular column to weigh in on the woke wars and issue a warning that future generations won't forgive us if we don't act on climate change. She said they will have every right to be furious at us, and went on to write, those who believe we should be doing more, not less, on the climate change are accused by many Tories, amongst others, of green wokery. Wokery being the culture war insult of choice hurled by those who have lost the argument. No. The people who you claim have lost the argument are winning the argument because you are always wrong. Everything you say is wrong. Everything you do is wrong. And as for the future generations having every right to be furious at us, they'll have every reason to be furious at you, Nicola, after all the damage you have done. When you see how your policies have utterly destroyed Scotland, yeah, they'll be furious, all right, but they'll be furious at you. However, in the comments of the article, she was branded a hypocrite while being reminded of her jet-setting ministerial appointee, Air Miles Angus Robertson, often accused of wasteful trips. Miss Sturgeon was also told that her interjection was distasteful, given the ongoing investigation into her party that saw her arrested and released. Yeah, I mean, she's sitting there. It is the hypocrisy. She's sitting there. She's going to be facing a lot of trials, possibly, because you've got, obviously, there's the possibility of the trial over the branch form, the embezzlement and all that. Possibly a trial over the cover-up of sex charges and sex offences by the likes of Jordan Linden. The Jordan Peterson, no, completely different person, not involved in any sex charges. Want to clarify that. Don't sue me, Jordan. But Jordan Linden's sex cases, and they know that cover went all the way up to Murrell. So if Murrell knew, undoubtedly she knew. And then, of course, there's the COVID inquiry, where she could well be, maybe, allegedly, facing a trial over the alleged and possible deaths of maybe 5,500 people. I'm covering my arse greatly with that one. So yeah, she's sitting there, she's looking at all these things going on, and she has the temerity to tell us how we should live our lives and what we should do. Look closer to home, Nicola. Look a lot closer to home. Anyway, her previous columns have seen her accused of grandstanding and playing the victim. Well, she's not the victim, we're the victim. This time, she took aim at Rishi Sunak, accusing him of posing in Margaret Thatcher's old Rover and promising to scrap measures designed to encourage people into lower emission cars and greener form of travel. Shows him to be deeply unserious, she said. Oh, Rishi Sunak's a tart anyway. He's a non-tax-paying billionaire with his green card who swans around in his private jet. Went up to Scotland in a private jet. We need to stop them private jets, really, don't we? So he's got all that, yeah. I mean, to be fair, Margaret Thatcher never had a private jet. But even so. She predictably stated, the Tory promise to max out North Sea oil and gas is the most lamentable leadership failure of all. No, it's actually a wise move. And if you ask the people of, say, I don't know, Aberdeen, what they think of his idea, they'll be all for it, I suspect. Anyway, within hours of the published think piece, she's thinking now, John Mackay commented, very hypocritical considering Sturgeon was quite happy to be transported around Scotland in a helicopter while during an election campaign back in 2015. Not very environmental friendly, that one, was it? And I wonder how polluting the big engine in the motorhome is. Hypocrite. Well said, John. Reader, learn to speak, David. Reader Maddie Atkins said, I think it would be appropriate and courteous for Miss Sturgeon to desist from public comment at all. Attempts to claim some sort of credibility are distasteful, to say the least. And getting straight to the point, one comment said, have a word with Air Miles Angus. Another said, the future generations are certainly going to look back on Nicola Sturgeon with absolute horror. We said that. They're going to know the full truth on what an absolute monster she was and the sheer level of damage caused while she looked after her pride and her ego. She's not making any valid points. Another said, I think in 50 years' time, people are more likely to look back and ask what the SNP were smoking when they came up with their policies, and how could they call abject failures successes? Well, they do. They lie. They just plainly outright lie. It's all they can do. Anyway, I shall round off and come up. I think it's a bit rich of this vile, odious, probably criminal woman to sit there and pontificate on matters over which she no longer has a relevant point of view. She is a nobody now. She is effectively a private citizen. I know she's still an MSP, but her job now is to go do some work, vote, and then retire gracefully and disappear from the public psyche. Become a nothing, a cipher, a dot. Nobody wants to hear her. Nobody cares. Nobody gives one iota of a care what this strange woman thinks. And I'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, do please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and never listen to Nicola Sturgeon. Bye.